If that's not a threat,
Right.
I don't know what is. She is anti-Semitic and Islamophobe to harass an 18-year-old.
On the next episode of Really Bitch.
We have had an election. We have moved beyond, well, we haven't really moved beyond Trump.
Well, Trumpism.
We haven't moved beyond Trumpism.
We're trying to move among.
But so I want to talk to you and I want to see what you think about Miss Marjorie Greene, okay, and her being removed from her
Senate committee.
the committees that she's on, the congressional committees, and the number of Republican congressmen who voted to have her stay in her position. I was surprised as I don't know what, that there were 11 Republicans that voted to censure her and to remove her. But the number of individuals who supported her staying in these committees after she had 3 women of color, mind you, 3 women of color on an Instagram post with her an AK-47. If that's not a threat,
Right.
I don't know what is. She is anti-Semitic and Islamophobe to harass an 18-year-old about whether or not there were class shootings, like school shootings, to deny that 9/11, right? This is all the stuff that she's putting up there. So she's a bigot, she is racist, she
By her own
is
example.
all of the above, right?
Yeah.
And so they all doubled down on that. They and she came up tried to do this apology at the 11th hour, mind you.
Right.
She's saying so, and didn't even apologize. She just said she was misled. That wasn't the word that she was allowed to be.
She was allowed to believe.
Like how who allows you? How you're the only person who's gonna allow you to believe that shit.
Exactly.
That's on you, right?
I feel like if she truly felt sorry, like she would have just removed herself from the committees. That would have been the best thing for her to do for her party, is just remove her. Then she would have saved everybody from having to vote her out, then in her own party, then saved Democrats for having to do it for the Republicans that should have fucking done it themselves. It's just insane.
Well,
it's
what
insane.
does that say about the party, though? That is the entire, not the entire Republican Party, but most of them have white supremacists all up in there.
They do. I think there are parts of the Republican Party that want to purge the racists, the 35%, that are just there. There's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. They're out there, everybody. We just need them to get out of the Republican Party. They need to go form their own party, whatever you want to call it.
But there's too many.
Remove yourself and let's get back to the normal dysfunction of Republicans and Democrats.
But there's too many in the party that are saying we need to keep them, otherwise we're going to lose votes.
I'm curious. I will be curious to see how Trump's impeachment thing goes. I am hoping that there will be a lot of senators that do end up voting to impeach him. I really do. I know.
I don't see it coming.
I'm crazy.
I do not see it happening. They are. Because they are wanting to censure Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the one.
Really?
They were like, we will remove you, Mitch. You will not. They are upset with Mitch. And I'm like,
I knew about the state censors of Cindy McCain, Ben Sass. He gave a fantastic speech. I thought,
in his state, they are coming for him at the state level. It is ridiculous. But what that tells me is there are a large number of people in this America that that are racist and bigoted and Islamophobe and are really in white supremacist-ville.
And really, another thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene, why I just don't, and people will compare it to Ilhan Omar, and they'll say she said anti-Semitic things. It's no different. Marjorie Taylor Greene says something, she's like apologized for it, and it's means the same, but it doesn't. It does not compare at all. And plus there was a resolution. I believe they passed a resolution against Ilhan Omar. She had to come on the floor and talk about it. So did Greene, but she wasn't sincere.
You can't compare
false equivalence.
None of, you can't compare none of that.
No.
None of that. And the people have the nerve to compare Black Lives Matter protests and riots to the insurrection.
No,
they're disgusting. It is white supremacy. Again, because only white people could walk onto the Capitol and come out unscathed.
They wouldn't have made
only.
We black people wouldn't have made it inside the Capitol,
but wouldn't have made a toe. Wouldn't have been on the grass. You hear me? Would not be on the grass. So that's what I'm saying. So what does this say about the Republican Party and what they have to decide, because right now they are going to marginalize themselves because if they split, right? So there's more. There were 80 million people who voted to put Biden in office. So some of them probably were Republicans and the anti-Trumpers, and they were in that bill, but you have to think those numbers. And so if the Republican Party splits, there's going to be, no one, not like what? They split 74 million, even if you do 40-40.
No, well, I'm saying split. They leave. Like they go on their own.
But my point is that the Republicans will never win another federal office again if that happens, and that's what they know, and that's why they want to hold on to him. That's why they're having such a hard time cutting loose of it.
That should be the reason why they want to kick him out.
But see, they're not about party anymore. They are about themselves. They are about money and power. You see it, because otherwise it would be party. There's party over principle.
I just think I think there's a core part of them that still are. I really, really do. I mean, I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Republican, but I just believe that most of them do want their party back. They want to kick these crazy Trumpers out, these crazy QAnon kooks out.
Absolutely. But you got the Lincoln Project, who's working really hard to get that out there. But here's the other caveat, right? So you got the crazies that are in Congress, but they were all voted in by a constituency who believe. And check, this is what's really what everyone who is in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. I don't know if you know this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is rich. She's not from that congressional district. She moved to that Georgia congressional district, the poorest one in Georgia, mind you. The poorest one. I keep thinking, I'm looking over the mirror. She's in the poorest congressional district. And she moved there because she felt she could win, very red, and she felt she could win there. So what does that say? That she knew she could go in that district, spout all that crazy, and they would vote her in, and they did.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like what Trump did.
Well, but let's think about it. When you're the poorest congressional district, that also says, probably correlates to lower educational issue, right? Poverty. They're uneducated, so she knows that. So she's playing She's playing them. Yep. She's playing them. Yeah, she played them like a fiddle.
And the thing about worrying that it's a double standard, because the Democrats ended up having to do the vote to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committee assignments because the Republicans wouldn't do it like they were supposed to do, because she wouldn't resign herself.
But I just said, it's a day of reckoning for the Republican Party, but it's a day of reckoning for America to decide what direction they want to go, and if they want to keep these domestic terrorists under their party.
Right.
Because they will always be the party now of QAnon until they do.
That's right. But there really is no double standard, because if there was someone in the Democratic Party who said the things that she said and spouted the QAnon stuff that she said and followed behind that kid. He was 18 years old, followed behind him like that.
Gotta go.
Oh my gosh, if she would have followed behind my child like that, I would have just turned and said,
She
look,
lucky.
I'm going to tell
She
you,
real lucky.
I'm going to pop you in your mouth if you just don't. You've had all this time, you yelled, whatever.
Well, you know, she concealed
Stop.
carries too, you know, so she carries.
That's exactly what I was going to say. But then I wouldn't be able to pop her in her mouth because she would probably pull out a gun and shoot me dead right there
Yep,
with
she
her
would.
cowardly ass.
And then say, I felt
She stood
threatened.
her ground. That's what she said.
felt
I felt threatened.
I felt threatened.
Whew,
It's
yeah.
some shenanigans, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Ask Cori Bush who felt threatened.
Yeah. It's a whole lot. But that's,
Yeah.
I just,
But yeah, I really hate that the Democrats had to have that vote to remove another party off of their assignments. I don't like that. I think the Republicans should have cleaned up their own mess.
well, the next ones they got to get rid
But
of
we
needs
had
to
to do what
be
we have to do.
needs
Yes,
to be
exactly.
Holly
She had
and
to go.
Cruz.
Holly and Cruz,
need to go too.
Bye-bye.
Also,
Yep.
Jim Jordan.
Yes, Jim
that
Jordan
crazy
can
got
go.
to go.
He's
I mean,
crazy.
all of
Yeah.
them. They were complicit with the storming of the Capitol, which is just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It is insane.
It is completely insane.
I can't even just how stupid people are. But then I just have to remember there are dumbasses who believe that Bigfoot is real, right? So if you can believe Bigfoot is real, you can believe damn near anything.
It has to be the most televised crime or the most well-documented video crime ever. You know, everybody was recording themselves breaking the law everywhere you look.
It was right
they
there.
had their phones out.
It was right there. But see, that's the other crazy, right? Because they knew in their hearts nothing was going to happen to them.
They weren't worried about
knew
it at all.
in their hearts that they could
right.
walk up to the Capitol,
our house.
do whatever
It's my
they
house.
wanted. They shit
This the
on
white
the
man's
floor.
house. Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yep.
And they got the nerve to call people of color nasty. You hear me? Oh my God.
Yeah.
They something else. It's coming though. This because they believe that this nation is a white nation and they feel pushed in a corner.
They do, and Trump has given them a voice the past several years. Yeah. And
it started with the birther.
Yeah, and the Southern Poverty Law Center has been, sounding the alarm about hate groups and white nationalist groups for years, and like nobody's really done anything about it. And I hate that this is what it's taken
You
for
have
the
to care.
FBI to be like, okay, well maybe we do need to look at these cases. I mean, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the militia that Timothy McVeigh was involved in, like, was left to flourish, was still able to, like,
Well, to whose benefit does
I
it
guess it's
serve?
not all of their.
To whose benefit
all
does
one
it
person.
serve that it's allowed to continue? Because they know it's there.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that this exists.
Well, we need to ask
But-
ourselves is why is it so pervasive in law enforcement and the military? The number of people who were involved in the Capitol Hill riots were overrepresented with law enforcement and military, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
Well, and
And why is that? And we are going to look at that.
well, why we know a lot of folks from a lot of places that go into the military, and what do most of the people who come out of the military go into? The police force, right? So there's not enough vetting, right? You get vetted
Agreed.
like a mother to get into the FBI.
Sure.
To be CIA. They do psychological profiles on you. No one does psychological profiles on police, but we need to. But see, that's a whole nother episode as
It
well
is.
when we talk about what is the
Yes.
nature of policing. How did policing start in America? What's
Yes.
the history behind
Yes,
that?
and what is expected of police officers sometimes is too much. Police officers shouldn't be expected to be mental health counselors, and
Well, that's
how we call on who we call on for help needs to be looked at. It needs to change, you know.
Otherwise, we're gonna be
Or maybe I shouldn't say who we call on for help. Obviously, when you call somebody for help, that should be super easy. Who is dispatched for help, I should say.
right.
That is what needs to change.
Right.
You know.
So I don't know if we have all of the answers on there, but I swear there's a lot involved with that. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
What do you think about it? Hit us up. And don't forget, if you want to hear more or see more of us, don't forget to hit like, and if you like the video, and hit subscribe. Right? So,
like, follow, comment, subscribe. Research more later.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, so I had to check his ass because he's always doing shit, and we're on camera now too. So just so you know, but we haven't started. But this is also, you know, edit stuff. And,
yes, B-roll, B-roll,
so,
bitches.
Yeah. And doing testing, so I'm sure it's coming in good. So we can start wherever.